Well, hello there. It is great to see you again, and welcome back to Lessons by the Lake, the Oswego Private Wealth Show. I am your moderator, Ryan Ruff. It's great to be back with everyone on the show here today. And as always, I'm joined by my right-hand man, and that is Bob Bedritis, the managing director over at Oswego Private Wealth. And as we typically do on the show, we're going to be unpacking another wealth management related discussion. As we've shared time and time again, Bob over there at Oswego Private Wealth, he's known for really helping business owners become financially independent of their businesses, because at the end of the day, I know we've talked about it a lot. He believes that business owners truly deserve to maximize the value of their life's work, and that really is at the core of a lot of the conversations that we have on this show. And in particular, today's topic, a really, really good one I'm excited to get into. We've been focusing a lot of late surrounding some of the bigger challenges facing business owners, especially when they're entering the exiting of a business during their life. And one of the biggest questions that always seems to pop up for a business owner is what is your business worth? What is my business worth? Sure, you might have a number in your head. You might have heard from some friends or colleagues in different industries, perhaps throw a number out at you, but what is your business actually worth? This is a very, very important question and a very important topic that we're going to be unpacking today. But before we dive into it, let's go ahead and bring out the man of the hour. Bob, good to see you today. How you doing?
Ryan, I'm great. It's so good to be with you. Thanks, man.
Yeah, always. Hey, always look forward to getting together. We got a big topic to sink our teeth into today, Bob. Look, you and I have talked about this idea of the valuation of a business and how it really lies at the center of this entire exiting process and the sale of a business for these business owners out there. Why don't you set the scene for us? Let's start with the valuation, because it does, like I said, it lies at the center of it all. Tell me why the valuation process is so important. Why even do this? Set the scene for us, if you will.
Well, thanks for asking that question. So, I once heard long, long time ago, and I believe it, is that you can't manage what you don't measure. And oftentimes the CFO, the controller, the business owner, they have every line of their balance sheet, of their P&L. They understand all of their numbers. But the valuation of their business is somewhat of an educated guess. And they might be right or they might be wrong. I've done valuations for business owners that say, I believe my business is X. And sometimes we find out it's significantly more. Sometimes we find out it's less. But it's a number that I think every business owner should know. So as you had mentioned, I am known for helping business owners become financially independent of their business, because I believe that they deserve to maximize their life's work. And, my training, my background is in wealth management and financial advising. But what I really do is help the men and women who built this country fulfill and achieve their American dreams. And that's what I'm committed to. That's why I'm so passionate about getting up every morning and doing this work. And so when I talk about the things that we do for our clients, we find that there are 5 categories that they're really, really interested in, and that are critical to their financial lives and their business lives. And number one, we say that we want to help our clients make smarter decisions about money. And I'll get back to that one. Number two, we want to mitigate taxes. Because some taxes are voluntary in the sense that if you can structure your business properly, there is a tax. There is a way that you can reduce those taxes. Third, take care of the heirs. Estate planning, make sure you're taking care of your family. Fourth, protect your assets against unnecessary litigation or divorce. And last of all, to magnify charitable giving to the extent that clients are charitably minded. So with that said, if I go back to the first one, which is making smarter decisions about money, let me ask this question, because I think evaluation and understanding your business is part of making smarter decisions. But if I asked you, or if I asked anybody listening to this, what if you could unwind any 3 financial decisions you've made in your entire life? How much money would you have? So think about that for a moment. Just go back for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. If you could unwind any 3 financial decisions in your life, how much money would you have? And I think, more importantly, how much pain, anxiety, conflict, sleepless nights would you have avoided? Well, I think in an abundance of counselors can come wisdom. And I think that wisdom comes out by having a sounding board, having a board of directors, having a good wealth manager who can help you navigate those decisions and avoid some of those ditches and make smarter decisions about money.
Yeah, and Bob, speaking of those dishes, I mean, by the way, gosh, there's a lot of soul searching in those questions, but agreed. I mean, you can walk back a lot of sleepless nights, as you mentioned, if you were able to, maybe solve some of those three financial decisions you made earlier in life. But in terms of those ditches that you just mentioned, a big one that we're talking about today that we want to make sure business owners out there don't fall into is an improper valuation of their business. So on the grand scheme, tell me, why should a business owner really be prioritizing this process? Should the idea of selling their business come into their mind?
Well, I believe that every business owner should be uh, ready to succession ready. Whether they're thinking about bringing their family up through for a succession plan, an ESOP to the employee, to the employees, or an outside third party sale. Even if you're not planning on selling your business anytime in the near future, it's a decade plus out. I think that you should know, because you never know what life throws at us. I mean, in my own personal story, back in 2016, when I got cancer, and I had 2 years of surgeries and just completely out of the picture. I didn't know whether I was going to live or die. I didn't know if my business was going to continue and thrive. I just didn't know. And honestly, I wasn't as ready as I should have been back in 2016. That compelled me in a significant way to really get my ducks in a row. And as I pursue this, and I'm a certified exit planner, and I still had some loose ends that were my that would have been on my list of financial decisions I wish I could unwind, bad ones, had I had my health gone in a different direction. So
So I mean, that paints a really nice picture, Bob, in terms of just how important this process of thinking through, and maybe some of these conversations you can be having with your wealth manager surrounding the valuation of your business. So that way you make sure things are structured properly. You have that number of how much is your business worth, and you can, make proper planning steps forward from there. But Bob, one thing that you and I were chatting offline about the other day is that you read a really interesting article in the Business Journal that painted a pretty good picture on this situation as a whole, and where a lot of business owners stand, in today's day and age with regard to valuing their businesses, selling their businesses. Why don't you share some of those numbers and some of that insight that you picked up in that article the other day?
yeah, I would love to. And before I get to those, there are four numbers that really intrigued me. It was a much bigger report. Is than It was the business journals nationally, so this was a nationwide survey. But one shouldn't just value their business for the sake of selling it. There's information that you get out of the valuation process that can help you with uh, well, not only the exit or succession planning, but in your estate planning, in your financial and retirement planning. I'll talk a little bit later. I hope you ask me. If you don't, I'll bring it up anyway. But I'll talk a little bit later about the process and what is actually delivered to the business owners throughout this valuation process. But there are decisions you can make on key man, on buy-sell agreements, on insurance funding, that all dependent upon an accurate, realistic valuation of your business. But what I gleaned out of that Business Journal survey was, number one, that only a third of business owners have ever performed a formal valuation of their business. Only a third. 2/3 of business owners don't know the valuation of their business. Number three, less than half of all business owners have a succession plan of any kind formally down in place. They're just kind of like wink, wink, nod, nod. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, you guys will take over. Well, the heirs or the attorneys may disagree with that,
Wow.
and so on and so forth. And then the last of all is that, and this one surprised me a little bit. But business owners so often, and I get it. So only 60% of business owners um, have a financial advisor. I'm sorry, 60% do not have a financial advisor. Only 40% of business owners actually do have a wealth manager or financial advisor. And I do get that, because when I begin to work in many, many, many situations, significant net worth and 99.9% of it's tied up in the business, right? It is the value of the business. It's not liquid. So I do understand why 60% don't have a wealth manager. But if you think about the things that we do and that we perform in addition to just managing money, I just think it's incumbent or imperative that that's a consideration for the business owner to build that relationship, because someday, if they walk away and they monetize it, particularly if their business is part of their retirement plan, it'd be good to have that relationship before they get to that point and they're opening up the phone book.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Bob, I mean, some of those numbers are really staggering, especially when we're sitting here today talking about how important this topic is. And then to realize how many business owners out there they don't have their ducks in a row. They're not making the right planning decisions. Well, let's paint a clear picture then for business owners out there on what this valuation process entails. Because look, selling your business, as we've talked about on this show in prior episodes, it's not a one and done type, knock it out in a day. I mean, there's a lot going on. It is truly a process. Take us down that road, Bob, of what that looks like for a business owner that comes to you and your team that's interested in selling their business. Walk us through what that looks like from their perspective, and kind of the steps, along the way.
Well, first of all, we make it easy. We start with a business valuation checklist. I'm very organized in this. There's a business valuation checklist and a few business documents and tax documents that we need to put that through. That's the beginning process. It's a lot of questions from me. There's some checklists to fill out and try to give me a sense of what's going on in the business, both financially and with people. Over that, we have a conversation about what is the purpose of the business. I've had businesses that needed to be valued for estate planning reasons. I've had businesses that have needed to be valued because dad now is interested in his four sons coming up and getting a part of the business. Of course, dad's 57 years old, and it's just going to be very much a minority stake for a while, but we needed an accurate valuation. We've done them for actual exit plans and sales. We've done it for insurance purposes and for key man insurance or buy-sell agreements and things like that. So we really want to talk about what's the purpose. And I want to know more about the goals and the aspirations. We talk about that a lot. But this is not done in a vacuum. This is not AI, and this is not a computer. We really want to understand the purpose, the valuation, and where that finish line is at that stage. And then we review, and I create a report. It's a 29-page report with a dashboard that not only gives a valuation, but allows the business owners to make smart decisions about their business. So in addition to the valuation itself that we do, and that valuation, by the way, we give a number, 3 or 4 valuations, depending on the industry, and we're very industry specific on this. So if this were an asset sale, we look at fair market value, inventory, assets, accounts payable, goodwill, customer base, so on and so forth. If we're looking at an equity sale, accounts receivable, and again, some more data comes into that, whether it's an enterprise value, which is how valuing the business through its current and future cash flows, and even to a number that creates a liquidation sale. So that report will give all of the numbers, and they can be markedly different. Obviously, a liquidation sale for a manufacturing company is very different from an ongoing concern that's cash flowing in a healthy way. But then in addition to that, on our dashboard, we look at 12 different areas, and based on the industry SIC code, the software that I use and the process that I use has so far done 34 million valuations. And so there's a deep database. So if you're in the excavation business, you will be compared to excavation businesses in your geographic area and nationally. And then in a dashboard, we look at 12 different KPIs that will give the business owner an ability to see how their business compares to industry standards. Are they top of the list? Are they bottom of the list? And invariably, nobody's on the top. If it's an ongoing successful business, they're not going to be at the bottom of every list. They're not going to be at the top of every list. And then they can make informed, rational decisions on the business moving forward based on that dashboard alone. Really opens their eyes to what's going on. And of course, in addition to that, we have an actual valuation. We have hard numbers: asset sale, equity sale, enterprise value, liquidation. We have hard numbers for that.
Yeah, this is great, Bob. I mean, you're arming your clients and your team with information, cold hard numbers to be able to go to the table for, so that when it goes into that arbitration or negotiation phase, it really is you can stand some on some firm ground, and I think that's a really important part of the process for a lot of folks out there. Bob, look, there's a lot that goes on in this process, as you just mentioned. I mean, 29-page deck. I mean, there's a lot of information, and each of those bits of information tells different stories about the organization. This can be a lot for folks. But if you were sitting there, let's say across the table from a new business owner, and you're having this conversation with them for the first time, and you had to bottom line this whole process, this whole conversation, this whole topic, even of what is your business worth, what's one huge takeaway that you would want that business owner to leave your office knowing and considering as they move further down this road?
Well, that information is power, and that information allows them to make smart decisions about the future of their company, whatever that future is, based on what they want to do. Right? I don't tell them what their future should be. It's based on what they want to do. And I don't like to work in a vacuum. I absolutely do not like to work in the vacuum. I want the estate planning attorney, the business attorney, the CPA, all to be co-conspirators with me in this process, or collaborators. I suppose collaborators would be a better word. But I really want to be able to communicate with the team, and everything's transparent and bring everything to them. But I can tell you from my experience, whatever the purpose of that valuation was, when we go over the report and we look at the dashboard, I have yet to find a business owner who doesn't have a eureka, aha moment where they're looking at certain dials on that dashboard and they're saying, this is big. I didn't see this. This is huge. And this is an area where I'm going to go to. And of course, every smart business owner knows that you don't have 12 priorities, right? It's oxymoronic. Priorities should be singular or couple, right? But then we can, over time, work together and address those. Sometimes I'm involved. Sometimes they could be human issues, personnel issues, the human element, of course, that I'm not necessarily involved with, but they have other advisors that work in that area. But it's the fact that they get the information that they can use now to grow that business, because very few business owners want to stagnate, and none want to shrink. Very few want to stagnate, and so we can actually propel them. I think the biggest surprise they get is this business valuation not only gives them numbers, but it gives them information to propel them to, metaphorically, take the next hill, expand their market, grow their business, and oftentimes simplify their business to make their lives more efficient.
I love this, Bob. I mean, there's this report opens some doors, some gateways into, maybe like you said, information that they didn't realize existed in the first place. But I know that also you and your team don't just slide a report across the table. You work with them, you explain it, and you help them through that process of moving down the road towards a sale. Bob, for anybody out there in the audience, as we're kind of bringing our conversation to a head today, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it. And that is, for anybody out there that thinks to themselves, "Oh, geez, Bob's right. I probably fall into some of those statistics that you rattled off from the Business Journal," or, "Man, I could probably benefit from sitting down with Bob and his team to just open up a dialogue about my business and where we might sit currently, and based on my market, based on the income coming in, all the variables." Bob, what's the best way somebody could reach out to you and your team, start a conversation, and dig into this with you?
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked that question. And the bottom line answer, of course, is just go to our website, oswegoprivatewealth.com, and it's very evident how to reach us, get a hold of us, give us a phone call, send us an email. or even schedule a meeting. We have a scheduler on there to have a phone conversation to see if this is appropriate for you. Um, I tend to be, ironically, very reactive in the sense, and what I mean by that is that I have CPAs and attorneys that tend to give me the call and send clients to me, and that's about 90% of all the valuations I'm doing. I rarely have somebody just go to my website and reach out as a stranger. It's usually being opportunities are being brought to us at our firm through CPAs, attorneys, and oftentimes executive coaches, and then some from referrals from business owners who are happy with the work that we do, and they know other business owners. But we would be delighted. I would love to get just somebody reach out to us on our website. It doesn't happen very often, but it would be terrific if they did. But that's an easy way to get a hold of us. Just go to the website. All our contact information's on there.
Fantastic. Well, Bob, look, I know you're a busy guy. You've got clients to serve, so I'll let you get back to doing that. But appreciate you and your time and diving into this idea of valuing a business. What is my business worth? I mean, just a lot of good conversation today, and we'll let you roll. But looking forward to being back on the next one with you.
Well, Ryan, thank you. It's always great to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Hey, likewise, always enjoy our conversations. And folks, look, we want to say one final thank you to you all, our audience, for stopping by and spending some time with us on the podcast today. If you did take anything away from today's discussion surrounding, what is your business worth, and you benefited from this discussion today, well, make sure you hit that subscribe button then on whichever platform that you did check us out on today. That way you never miss out on a future conversation where Bob and I unpack these different wealth management topics. So that way you are armed with information and making some of your financial decisions in your world. Additionally, we love to bring on, esteemed experts and guests onto this show to share their knowledge and their expertise with you all as well. So by subscribing, you'll never miss out on some of that future content. Before Bob, I'm Ryan. We're going to go ahead and say so long today, but we appreciate you stopping by and being with us on Lessons by the Lake.